I had an ex who called the ocarina my stupid flute thing. There's a reason we split. If you play the ocarina, you've probably felt like it's a really niche hobby that's really only for your personal enjoyment and nothing else. I mean, you probably only know like a single-digit number of other people who play the ocarina, and they're probably all online friends. And that's certainly how I felt when I first started playing. However, directly or indirectly, playing the ocarina has ended up being one of the best decisions I've ever made and has opened me to so many opportunities. From making amazing friends to having awesome performances with my ensemble, Okabanda. Chill time! Around 70% of my viewers are not subscribed. If you enjoy this or any of my videos, please consider smashing that subscribe button and hitting the bell icon to stay notified. Also, make sure you smash that like button. Anyway, story time. The year is 2011. I'm in 8th grade and I'm only about a month away from finishing. At this point, I am awkward, nerdy, introverted, have trouble making friends, all that you would consider from a 13-year-old with poor social skills. Like many, I am not having a great time in middle school. This is also the second or third time I attended Fanime in San Jose. My brother and I go to this convention to have fun with other introverted, awkward, gaming, nerd people. And at most conventions, there is a dealer's hall that sells stuff like anime or gaming merch, used games, various crafts, and other collectibles. And on the last day of most conventions, they have big sales on those. Well, that big sale day comes on the last day of Fanime, and I cannot go without buying something, even if I only have two $20 bills to my name to spend. I look around the dealer's hall and I happen across a booth run by STL Ocarina selling, you guessed it, ocarinas. My first thought is,
oh my god, they're real!
So I'm interested and I take a little peek at what they have to sell. I really wanted their Ocarina of Time replica in ceramic, but with $40 to my name, there was no way I could afford that at that time, especially since it cost more back in those days. So I settle on a plastic 12-hole Zelda-inspired ocarina, and while I'm waiting for my mom to pick me up, I just start diddling around and playing it. I'm first chair trumpet in my middle school band, so it was weird using more than 3 fingers to play the instrument. Like, the ocarina has 12 holes, used all of my fingers, whereas there were 3 valves on a trumpet. But because of that musical background, before my mom even got to pick me up, I figured out how to play some songs on the ocarina, including the Song of Time. And from that moment on, I was like, wow, I love this instrument. So that evening onward, I was totally obsessed with ocarinas. I was constantly practicing, I was going on ocarina vendors' websites, I was doing all that and constantly watching videos, learning as much as I could about the instrument because as a 13-year-old with nothing better to do, that's just what you end up doing. But I also have to apologize to my family who had to listen to me play the ocarina all day, every day for that entire summer after I finished 8th grade. I was 13 years old, and the ocarina was the most interesting thing going on in my life. However, that summer ended up being like a hyperbolic time chamber of practice for me, because within one summer of practicing the ocarina, I felt better at the ocarina than I did from 4 years of playing trumpet. I start high school and I finally get my act together when it comes to social interaction. Over high school, the ocarina became synonymous with me because I would often bring one to school, often play around in the halls, and I was like that guy who played the ocarina all the time, and it was a great conversation starter, except when it wasn't. For my first 3 years of high school, I'm also part of the drama department, and that year I went to the All-State Thespian Festival, and they have this big all-state production that like anyone from the state of California who goes to that festival can audition for. So I auditioned for the second act, and instead of doing singing, dancing, or acting, I played the ocarina. And I got that audition just because I was doing something different. That was one of the first times that the ocarina felt like something real for me. So there's this other time. So for context, my dad is a choir director, And for one of his choir's concerts, they needed a second flute-ish instrument for a duet. That lasted 15 seconds, and they paid me like $50 to play that at their concerts. So at that point, technically I've become a professional ocarina player if your litmus test for professional is getting paid. So that was also cool, but I wouldn't really consider my dad paying me to play the instrument a professional gig. So through high school and beyond, I keep going to FanimeCon every year, and every FanimeCon, I spend hours and hours just playing the ocarina in the halls, performing for the crowd. Of course at no cost, because I would get kicked out if I tried to ask people for money. But I end up developing a reputation as like the ocarina guy at FanimeCon. So Fanime 2015, my senior year of high school, that rolls around, and STL Ocarina has had a booth at FanimeCon every year, like from my 8th grade First Ocarina purchase onward. But in 2015, Songbird Ocarina also had a booth at FanimeCon. And who would you guess is running it? Someone who I at the time was a big fan of and am now a very close friends with. Ocarinist and
YouTuber extraordinaire?
David Eric Ramos. I'm super starstruck because at that time, I really look up to him as like a content creator. I watched like all of his videos and all of that, but I didn't know how to approach him because I was wearing a Misty cosplay, like Misty from Pokemon. Like I was in like a crop top and short shorts. Like, I'm so glad there are no pictures of that. I get the courage to walk up and start talking to David, and we hit it off. And it turns out people have been asking him about me. It turns out all my years and hours of playing the ocarina in the halls at FanimeCon had paid off. Over the course of that weekend, we hang out a tiny bit. I go to his ocarina panel, we jam a little bit, I help advertise the Songbird booth, but that's the main extent of that. Nothing like super monumentous happens. Fast forward to next year, in spring of 2016, I am a fresh college lad, and out of the blue, who do I get a message from? David. He's asking me if I can help volunteer at the Songbird booth for this year's convention, and I was like, yes, I can do that, great. So Fanime comes, and even though David isn't there at the booth, we still have a great team and have a great time selling ocarinas. Fanime comes and goes, and by this point, David and I become real friends, because
your friendship isn't real unless you are friends on Facebook.
Anyways, several months later, I see him posting about wanting to start an American ocarina ensemble. Later that same day, I get a message from David, and before I even read it, I'm like, he's probably gonna ask me if I know anyone who's good for that ensemble, because there's no way he's gonna ask me to be a part of that. So to my surprise, his message simply reads, "Hey Andy, can you read sheet music?" And I'm like,
oh my god, is he like maybe, possibly inviting me to join his prestigious American ocarina ensemble?
So my suddenly very excited self reads it, processes it, reprocesses it, and somehow interprets that message to be, Andy, can you
sight read?
So I reply,
I guess I can read sheet music, but I'm really bad when it comes to like playing it on the spot like that.
David replies, oh, you mean sight reading? That's fine if you can't. So I'm thinking,
oh, gosh golly gee, I really goofed that up.
I misinterpreted that message and gave David the impression that I can't even read sheet music, even though I can. But to my surprise, David messages me, hey, are you possibly able to go to Anime Expo this summer? Very, very thankfully, I was already planning to go to Anime Expo that summer. And I quickly reply, like in all caps, within like 10 seconds of that message, like,
yes!
To which David responds, would you like to join the ensemble that I'm starting? We'll be testing how it goes at Anime Expo. And I'm thinking,
I know there's not very many ocarina players in the United States, but like there can't be so few that you would even consider like little old me to play in that ensemble, right?
Imposter syndrome aside, this does make me realize a few things. One, I'm a better ocarina player than I think. I've just been in a really isolated bubble and have had like no way to reference my ability compared to that of like your average ocarina player. So my years of obsession really ended up paying off. Two, if I weren't already planning to go to Anime Expo, I probably would have turned down that invitation. At that point, I was super, super frugal. And 3,
I should get better at sight reading because I'm gonna be playing some serious music with some people who are likely much better musicians than I am.
So everyone who David had been reaching out to starts communicating, and we all start learning our music. Eventually, summer rolls around, and we go down to LA to start rehearsal for Anime Expo. Before this point, I had never been in the vicinity of so many people who were just as passionate as me, or if not more passionate, about the ocarina. It was amazing. We spend those days before the convention rehearsing our music, gallivanting around LA, and bonding. But eventually the convention does roll around, and we have to do what we came here for. Play the ocarina. Rather than doing stuff most people would do at an anime convention, we spend almost the entire time outdoors performing. Tons of people come by and listen to us, film us, and all that. We weren't Okabanda yet, we were just the US Ocarina Ensemble, but this is such an unforgettable time. Anime Expo ends, we all go home, but we know that this thing is gonna keep going. So we try to decide on a name that's better than United States Ocarina Ensemble, and we come up with Okabanda. So Okabanda literally translates to goose band, which is because ocarina, which is ocarina, oka means goose, and ocarina is little goose. So we are Goose Band. It's been over 3 years since Anime Expo, but that's only the beginning for Okabanda. All I can say is, if you have some weird niche hobby, go for it. You never know what it'll lead to. This video is about how the ocarina stopped just being a niche hobby for me. And I haven't even started with the opportunities that have been a result of being part of Okabanda. Directly or indirectly. It might have even helped me get my job. It is absolutely crazy how an impulse purchase that I made in 8th grade has led to this amazing chain of events. This video is not at all made with the intention of bragging about myself or my accomplishments pertaining to the ocarina. It's to inspire you to pursue your weird, niche, hobby, dream, or pick up the ocarina if you haven't already. Buy an ocarina. I will make a follow-up video to recount the rest of the story, so subscribe for that! And make sure to impulse buy that like button, just like how I impulse buyed my first ocarina. So, thank you so much for watching and listening to my story with the ocarina. If your weird niche hobby or the ocarina has given you some great opportunities, please let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!